So we're gonna start down here, and this part is no increases and no decreases, just a regular rectangle. And then we get to this part where you make one row of increase, and then you make one regular row, and then one increase. Then you get to this point where you make 3 rows of increase, both sides. Then you make 2 regular rows, and then we get to the decrease of the sole, and you're gonna make 2 rows of decrease, 1 regular row, and then 5 rows of decrease. So that's the pattern here. So here, no increase, decrease, and then in the end you finish over here, and then you crochet down the side, and when you reach this point, the heel, you make 1 decrease in this corner and 1 decrease in this corner, work your way up and finish up here. So mine is a size 39, and I started out with 7 half double crochet stitches, and depending on what size you are going to either add or subtract 1 stitch or 1 row depending on your size. So if you are a size, let's say 37, that's 2 sizes down, so you have to subtract 2 stitches from the beginning of your row. If you are a size 40, so that's 1 size up, you add 1 stitch to the first row. And the same goes for the length of the sole. So my sole is 25 centimeters in length, and you could either measure your own sole, or you can measure your shoe or your foot, whatever, from the heel to your toes. And depending on your size, you can either subtract or add 1 row from these measurements. So from this part and this part, mine is 24 and a half centimeters long. I'm just going to do this in a size 39, and I can show you where you're going to stop or start if you're going to make a size smaller or bigger. For my size 39, I'm gonna do 7 half double crochet. So that means that I'm gonna start out with 8 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And if you are a size smaller, you make 7 chains. If you are a size bigger, you make 9 chains. So yarn over and go into the second chain, half double crochet, then chain 1. This is our turning chain. We're not going to crochet into that. We're going to crochet into the first stitch, now I've made 9 rows, and if you are a size 38, so 1 size smaller, you can make 8 rows. And if you're a size bigger, you can make 1 more row, so you have 10 rows, so that this part of your sole will be longer. And that means that the total length of your sole will be longer in size. Or you could also just make as many as I do, and then wait for this part, and then make 1 extra row or 1 row less here. That depends on your foot and how long your heel is compared to this wide part. So now that I've made my 9 rows, I'm going to make 2 stitches in the first. I've made the beginning of this part of the sole, so I'm not doing any increases on the other side. So after I've done my first increase over here and made that row, I turn over and make one regular row, no increases. So increase and then one regular row, and then we make one extra increase, so one extra stitch in the first, chain one, turn over. And now that we've made, as you can see, this part, so this part of the sole, and the other part is straight, as you can see, straight. So now we're going to do the increases on both sides of the sole. Now we are going to make one increase in this side, one extra stitch. We're going to make 2 regular rows with no increase. So that was my 2 regular rows. So now after 2 regular rows, we're gonna do 1 decrease. So crochet together the first 2 stitches into one, and then 1 stitch into each stitch, chain 1. Now we're gonna make 1 regular row, 1 stitch into each stitch, and chain 1, turn over. And now we are going to make 1 decrease in the beginning. So crochet together the first 2 stitches, chain 1, make 1 more decrease in the beginning, chain 1, turn over, 4, and then the next one, 5, crochet together the first 2 stitches. So we have the 7th decrease over here, 7 decreases. We want a lefty and a righty. So we want this one to be flipped so that the big toe goes here and the big toe goes here. So I'm just gonna cut off my yarn, and then I'm going to chain 1 and pull it through so I can start my edge over here. Make 1 slip stitch, chain 1, and then I'm just gonna make single crochet down the sole. I pretty much make 1 single crochet per row. And when I reach the corner, I'm actually not gonna do any chains or anything. I'm just going into the stitches, but I'm going to make a decrease over the first 2 stitches on the heel. So I'm finding the first stitch and then doing the decrease like that, and then crocheting into the next stitches. And then when I have 2 stitches left, I'm gonna do the last decrease. 1, 2. And that way we can round out the heel. So I'm just going to, when I reach this point, just make slip stitches over this row. Just make 1 slip stitch into the first chain that you made over here. 1 slip stitch. Chain 1 and break off the yarn.